Welcome to our deep dive into the life of one of history's most infamous figures, Adolf Hitler. Today we uncover some lesser-known facts about his life that might surprise you. History often paints its subjects in broad strokes, black and white, good versus evil, but the truth, as always, is far more nuanced, far more intricate. To truly understand the man who plunged the world into darkness, we must look beyond the caricature of a tyrannical dictator and examine the complexities that shaped him. Join me as we peel back the layers of history, examining the man behind the myth, the human being behind the monster. Before the name Adolf Hitler became synonymous with hatred and destruction, it belonged to a young man with a very different ambition: to be an artist. The young Hitler, armed with easel and paintbrush, dreamt of capturing the world's beauty on canvas. He twice applied to the prestigious Academy of Fine Arts, Vienna, his heart set on joining the ranks of the world's great artists. But fate, it seems, had other plans. His application was rejected not once, but twice. These rejections, delivered with stinging finality, left an undeniable mark on the young Hitler. Were these setbacks the seeds of resentment that would later blossom into something far more sinister? Rejected and disillusioned, Hitler found himself adrift in Vienna, a city teeming with life. Yet somehow he felt profoundly alone. The streets that had once held the promise of artistic glory now presented a different reality, one of hardship and uncertainty. Unable to afford even basic lodgings, Hitler was forced into the city's homeless shelters. He slept in crowded dormitories, sharing meager meals with others who, like him, were struggling to survive. The Vienna of Hitler's youth was a city of stark contrasts. Grand palaces and opulent opera houses casting long shadows over the slums where he struggled to survive. These experiences, etched into his memory, would shape his worldview and influence his future ambitions. Chapter 3. An Unexpected Compassion. Even as Hitler's political ideology began to take shape, a curious contradiction emerged. This man, who would later be responsible for unimaginable human suffering, harbored a surprising compassion for animals. Adolf Hitler was a committed vegetarian, abstaining from all meat products. This choice, unusual for his time, stemmed from a deep-seated belief in animal welfare. He saw the suffering inflicted upon animals in factory farms and slaughterhouses as an injustice he could not abide. This empathy for animals extended to his policies. Hitler's government enacted some of the most progressive animal welfare legislation in the world at the time, banning vivisection and promoting conservation efforts. Chapter 4. Living on borrowed time. Power, it is said, attracts those who would seize it and those who would destroy it. As Hitler's grip on Germany tightened, a shadow government of dissent grew in the darkness, their target the Führer himself. Numerous assassination attempts were made on Hitler's life, each a desperate gamble to alter the course of history. The most famous of these, the July 20th plot, saw a bomb detonate within Hitler's own headquarters. Remarkably, Hitler escaped each attempt with his life, often emerging with only minor injuries. This seeming invincibility, whether by chance or design, fueled the propaganda machine, portraying him as divinely protected, a man of destiny. Chapter 5. The Unsung Manifesto. In the aftermath of the failed beer hall putsch, imprisoned and stripped of his platform, Hitler began work on a book that would become both his manifesto and his autobiography. This book, titled Mein Kampf, My Struggle, outlined his political ideology, his vision for Germany, and his venomous hatred for those he deemed enemies of the state. However, upon its release, the book was met with indifference. Sales were dismal, critics were unimpressed. Mein Kampf seemed destined to gather dust on library shelves, an obscure and forgotten rant by a failed revolutionary. It would take Hitler's rise to power for the book to find its audience, becoming a chillingly prophetic bestseller as Germany marched towards war. Outro: The Enigma of Evil. These facts, often overlooked or deliberately ignored, shed light on the complex and often contradictory life of Adolf Hitler. They remind us that even the most monstrous figures in history were once human beings, shaped by their experiences, driven by their desires, and ultimately defined by their choices. It is tempting to dismiss Hitler as a monster, a singular embodiment of evil. But to do so is to ignore the uncomfortable truth that his life presents. How did a failed artist become a tyrant? What role did circumstance and opportunity play in his rise to power? These are questions that continue to fascinate and horrify us. Questions that demand our attention if we are to learn from the darkest chapters of human history. Stay tuned for more intriguing historical insights. Hope you like this must-know biography series. See you next time. Love you all.